Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the Sherrard Show. I'm your host, Sherrard. Happy Monday to you. I hope everyone's doing well today. We have a blowout episode today, ladies and gentlemen. We're going to be speaking to an icon, a living legend, a gentleman who's been doing it since 1958. And if you just hear the list of the individuals that he's worked with and produced hits, it will blow your mind. He has been on the show about 3 years ago, and now he's back. The iconic Reggie Dozier from Holland, Dozier and Holland. But before we get to Reggie, the Sherrard Show is brought to you by the Pure Essence Television Network, where you can see some of the greatest episodes now trending, from the Isley Brothers to the late, great Jerry Butler, Gene Chandler, The Temptations, Joe Montega, and many more. Just click on the icon right there on your screen, and you can see the greatest episodes of your life. This episode is also brought to you by iHeartRadio, so if you missed this broadcast on television, you can also listen to it on the iHeartRadio, and you can smile and drive. And it's also brought to you by my limited edition Rah Rah Shoes collection, where you can purchase a pair and 1% of the proceeds go to the fight for the cure for lupus. Well, ladies and gentlemen, of over 75% of the songs that you hear today, this man had something to do with it. He's worked with some of the biggest names, from Beyonce to Michael Jackson to Lionel Richie to Diana Ross to Outkast. The list goes on, and he's still doing it, and he's having fun. The man himself, Mr. Reggie Dozier, is returning to the Sherrard Show. How are you, sir?
I'm fine. I'm blessed. I'm still here. Like I said a
Reggie.
little while ago, I'm getting older, and that's a good thing.
Amen. But Reggie, it's so good to see you and still doing
Good to
the
see
thing.
you too.
Thank you, sir. Now, Reggie, tell me a little bit about what you've been up to since the last time we spoke, and what hits have you cranked out since the last time we spoke it?
As far as excuse me, we got a new dog, but as far as albums and things, I haven't done too many things. I'm still working. I'm doing transfers for Billy Davis and Marilyn McCoo, trying to get their catalog together, and I'm transferring it from analog to digital. And that's been an on project for the last few months. Uh, I've done working on a mix for Louis Price, used to be with the Temptations, and not a whole lot. I've renovated my studio, and I got what you call a Pro Tools uh, Focusrite digital board. So it's been a whole new learning curve for me to get into this digital board, but it's keeping my mind going. I'm busy doing something one way or another.
Reggie, you've been doing it since 1958. You've worked with some of the greatest names in the music. I mean, one of my favorite songs, Endless Love, and as current as Speaker Box with Outkast and so many. Reggie, what is it that keep you going? I mean, you totally can retire if you like, but you love it too much. So what keeps you going?
Legally, I'm retired, but in reality, I think when I retire, I'll be gone. So no, I think the music itself helps me, motivates me to keep going more and more. And if I'm not doing it, some type of music, my wife has to come in and tell me, "You've been in here too long. You need to come out and take a break." Because I can't stop. It's just part of me. So many years and dealing with so many people, and then people are constantly calling and asking me different things about certain problems they have, and what would they do, what would I do with this, what would I do with that. So I try to maintain a relationship with it because it's me. That's who I am.
So Reggie, you're like a mad scientist there in the studio and doing this and doing that and all that, to the point where I guess 8 hours feel like 15 minutes, huh?
Yeah, days are going by fast for me. Yes, I get these different projects, and everybody will send me things and say, "What can you do to it?" And I'll say, "Well, I'm hearing this, but I can't get it out. I can't pull it. Give me the files," and I end up working on the project for them or doing something. And a lot of times, I don't charge a lot of money to certain people, friends, and things like that. I just enjoy doing it. So it just keeps me going, makes me happy.
Very good. Now, Reggie, what is music? What is the business like now from since you started in 1958? Let me just kind of give the audience a little synopsis of how long ago 1958 was and who was alive. You're talking Elvis was still alive, Sam Cooke. You're talking Jerry Butler. You're talking
Mhm.
the Chitlin Circuit was still live and well. And then you also still had Billie Holiday and so many others, in the industry. So this is when you started. But what was it like then compared to what it is now?
Well, basically for me, it was a start. So I really hadn't gotten into, the fundamentals of, working as an engineer. I had gone to Anna Records, and I was doing some copying, some things for them, and I got acclimated into the music part of it. Before it was, I've always enjoyed electronics, but back then it was like I say, just a beginning for me. Me searching out, seeing which way I want to go. As it turns out, I ended up going into the service, and I went into service in 1961. And as soon as I go into service, brother said I got a hit record, and I'm like, damn, I'm in here and can't get out. So I tried to get my mother to tell something was wrong with her, and it was like, no, I ain't gonna do that. You need to serve your time and do what you got to do. And I came out and went, whoa, my God, hey Lamont, what's up? By then he had hooked up with Brian Holland and Eddie Holland, and he was they were pumping out the hits. So needless to say, they had their formula going. So I said, okay, then I need to do something to get prepared, because my brother said, get ready, I'm going to be calling you. So I went to school for electronics and got my degree in electronics. And then Holland and Dozier and Holland left Motown and went to form Holland Dozier Holland Recording Studio. And I went over and got a job and started then and worked in the shop, fixing things, doing things like that. Somebody said somebody needed a tape, and the office was downtown in Detroit. And somebody said, uh, we need a copy of a song. I said, well, nobody's here to do it. He said, well, you can do it. So I went down and ran a rough mix. And the next day, somebody came back and said, I'm downtown, and said, who did this? I said, I did this. He said, well, what are you doing upstairs? You need to be down here. And it clicked. And next thing I know, I've been here all the time. Been
This
working
was
at it.
1958. No, this was 1960 what?
Oh, that must have been 1968. Yeah, about 1968 before I really got into it.
Now, Mickey Stevenson, who was he's a guest on the show as well, mentioned a lot about you in his book, actually, because you
Mhm.
work with Mickey Stevenson. Is that correct?
Yes.
And so
Yeah.
he would talk about how hardworking you all were, and how it was a period where you all were just cranking out hits after hits for Stevie Wonder, for the Temptations, for Martha and the Vandellas and all that. What was that like during that period in Hitsville, USA?
Uh, Pittsfield was another world. It was like beginning, being established was the primary thing they were trying to do. And the Honeycombs, um, was a couple few other groups they had in there. George Clinton was in there. It was fun because nothing like seeing, looking at the chart and say, "Where's the record at now? What is it doing?" And when you feel good and you're ready to go back in for the next thing, as you see them, the progression of everything going more and more and more, and it was fun. It was actually fun doing it.
Now, you work with the best of the best, and you've cranked out so many hits. But I know the audience is going to ask you, so I'll kind of beat you to it. You probably can't answer this, but I'll try and ask you it. When you think about some of the most talented people you've ever worked with who sticks out in your mind if you had to name three?
That's a hard question. My brother, for one, he he had a thing, a formula as far as writing music, and I mean, he was renowned what he could do with music and make how to make music, and he taught me a lot and got me going. Uh, like I say, I worked with him from way back. I think we stopped working together in 2025 or 2010 in that area. I had a quadruple bypass and I didn't get back to it, but he was one. But then I go back to Miles Davis, phenomenal. I mean, not R&B or more jazzy, but his knowledge of music, like he did. Let me tell you a little quick story. We were he had a PPG. He was playing a solo. I'm like, Marvin, Miles Davis playing trumpet, and now you gonna play keyboard? I said, okay. And he played a solo on the song. I think it was Randy Hall and Zane Giles were producing. He played the solo, and then I was getting ready to start the machine after 8 bars, and he smacked my hand. I said, "Oh, what's wrong with him?" He said, "Don't stop that. Don't you hear that?" I said, "Hear what?" I said, "The music is still going." He said, "I said the keyboard's still going." He says, "That's the tonic of the chord. Let it go. It'll go through the whole song." So I'm going like the tonic, and I'm listening. He said, "Bring it down a little bit," and I brought it down, and it was like a jelly or glue in the song, saying it was a tonic. And that was one of my first big lessons as far as getting over into the music. Later on, it came to working with Benjamin Wright, who, as you know, is a phenomenal arranger. And we started, like I said, we started working with everybody. But he was phenomenal, still is, as far as that goes. Then you got, well, definitely the Holland Dozier Hollands, Lionel Richie, uh, Smokey. I haven't worked with Smokey, but watching him work and seeing the things he did, I gathered a lot of information. But I can't recall a lot of the people that did a lot of it. But I can put a list down. You know,
Definitely so. Wow. And what are the you've named already, Reggie? That's quite phenomenal. Ladies and gentlemen, for those who just joined us, we're talking to the iconic Reggie Dozier on our special episode, where we're speaking about honoring the musical genius of Mr. Reggie Dozier. We're going to take your questions momentarily. We're going to take a quick break, and we come back. We're going to also talk about how when he was working with Michael Jackson. What was that like? I'm Sherrod. We'll be right back after this.
Here's an important message from the U.S. Med Diabetes Solution Center. If you have diabetes, you know the pain of pricking your fingers. But now, by wearing a small device called a continuous glucose monitor, or CGM, you can reduce your pain right away. It's easy to use and helps you make more accurate diabetes treatment decisions. If you use insulin daily, you might be eligible to get your own continuous glucose monitor. Call the U.S. Med Diabetes Solution Center to learn about this groundbreaking new CGM technology. If you have Medicare or private insurance, call to see if you qualify for a CGM at little or no cost. Shipping is free and will even bill your insurance company for you. U.S. Med is the #1 rated supplier on Google and Facebook reviews. So call us right now to see if you qualify for a CGM at little or no cost. U.S. Med. Better service. Better care.
And welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to the Sherrod Show. I'm your host, Sherrod, for our special Monday conversation with the iconic Reggie Dozier. Humble guy, but a masterful genius. He's worked with some of the biggest names. I don't even know. I can't even begin with that. But one story that's very interesting I would like to know about, and so many others, is, Reggie, what was it like when you were working with Michael Jackson in the height of his stardom?
like I was saying before, Michael, young genius as far as music is concerned. And when you asked, I think we were doing, what was it? Going back to Alabama for Kenny Rogers. And Kenny asked him to come in and sing 2 spots. And he started dancing around the room. And I said, Michael, you see what the mic is at? He said, yes, sir. And he started dancing to the music. And every time it was time for him to sing, he'd dance up to the microphone and do his line and then jump it back. You know, every time it's his turn, he'd come in and he'd sing. And it just freaked me out. I said, this guy is unbelievable. But in his own right, he was a young genius, around like Prince. You know, two different people, two different genres of music, but a genius in their own rights. You know, doing what they were doing.
Very good. Now, Reggie, what was it like when you were working with David Ruffin in the height of his stardom with the Temptations?
David was very strong. I didn't do too much. I think I did about, oh, that was with Temptations. And David was phenomenal too. He had that voice, you know, when he opened his mouth and it's like, oh my God. I mean, it was like going to a show as opposed to working because seeing all these guys, which by the way, Otis Williams is the only one left from the Temptations. And watching each one that would come in, Richard Street, each one, Louis Spices, everybody came in and it just developed into a thing like you didn't see David, but they kept the feeling of him because to me, he was the Temptations, you know. And Eddie Kendricks with that high voice also. But it's fun.
Now, Reggie, when you look at artists, for example, were you ever in the same room with Teddy Pendergrass?
Teddy Pendergrass, no. No, I never worked with Teddy. I wanted to a lot. I heard a lot of his music, but I never worked with him.
Now, whose voice would you say would light up the room even more so? Would it be Teddy's or was it David's?
Oh, you got two different styles. Yeah, I wouldn't want to make a choice because both of them were bad, man. Both of them was bad, man. You know,
Now, Reggie, when you look at the music industry now and those who are watching, for example, and they wanted to start their career in the business, would you say is it gotten better or worse? And what would your advice be to them?
I'm old school. A lot of people think that they don't need to know about analog, you know, and plus the fact that I was teaching at California College of Music and Engineering at one time. I set their course up. But the thing to me is to go back and research how the sound got there. Now everything is like hit a button and there you are. Add this effect and there you are. Go back and see where the analog came from first. Educate yourself because as far as we look around, we're in an analog world. Everything we look at is, I consider, as you start talking about sound, it's analog. Now you got to bring it down and you got to make it digital. How do you maintain the analog feel to the digital? So if you learn that process of how to do both, like you go and record drums, what do you use? What microphones? It's all a part of getting the knowledge of putting the music together. You have to get the analog to me to make it work and feel right.
Very good. Thank you. Well, we're going to time for a few questions. We only have time for three. Reggie's a very busy man. So we're going to take three questions. So this segment is brought to you by the Rah Rah Shoe Collection. So definitely purchase your pair of Rah Rahs for our Q&A segment for Reggie Dozier. This one is from Allison. This is from Allison. She is from Davenport, Iowa. She says, wow, Sherrod has an icon on the show who's actually worked with Aretha Franklin and so many more. Her question to you is, what is your motivation after so many years to continue doing what you do?
My motivation is the music. I just love music. We came up in a musical family, and I think we were, you know, it was instilled in our systems to do music. I have a auntie, she's 90 years old, 91 years old, 92, and she still plays piano for the church. And I don't know if anybody remember Ethel Waters. Ethel Waters was a great aunt. You heard of the Waters?
Owen
Warren Waters,
Waters.
Dewey, Maxine, and Luther. That's my family.
They were all
My
on the show
mother.
before.
Oh, okay, okay, yeah. But music is like I say, it's something that's still in my genes, so to speak. Is I can't do anything every day without. I'm sitting here in my studio now. I can't come into any days without coming in here and doing the music. It's just in my system.
Thank you for the question. We appreciate that. This one is from Pamela. This is from Pamela. She is from Denver, Colorado. She's saying, you really look good, Reggie, and we congratulate you for all your numerous success. Her question is, when you think about all the wonderful people you've worked with, who stands out in your mind the most?
Oh, like I say, Miles Davis is one of the biggest ones. My brother, I don't have a number one. Uh, Lionel Richie, Kenny Rogers. See now, I'm gonna start naming everybody in a minute, but it's funny because everybody that I've worked with, they've either been country and western, R&B, pop, jazz, or any other type of song. So everybody that works in their choice of music and their styles, I have worked with certain people that they were good at what they did. Most everybody that I work with were good. So it's hard to say da 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 because of the different genders of music.
Very good. Okay, thank you. We have time for one more. Thank you, Pamela, for your question. This is from Marvin. This is from Marvin. He is from Gainesville, Florida. Excellent, excellent show. He's a musician. He said he's been doing it for many years. His question is, his question he has for you is, did you ever work with Marvin Gaye? And if so, what was that like?
My man. I did Marvin Gaye's last tour, uh, Midnight Love Tour, and I mean, it kind of makes me choke up. We were very close through the years. We did a few things. His engineer, Arthur Phillips, was it Arthur? I think it was Arthur. Arthur stayed on the corner for me in the Jeffrey Projects, and I remember when he started working with Marvin. So when he got ready to leave, he told Marvin to call me. I think I was working for ABC, and he says, "Would you like to work with Marvin?" I said, "We can try it out and see." So I went over and, well, I think we finished a couple of albums together, but I liked it because he was another genius, and he was getting ready to do the tour, and he said, "Would I like to do his tour?" My wife just freaked out because she thought I was home, so I did off the road. It's one of those things that you go out and you stuck. I went out with him for, was it 5 months before I came back home. And it was unbelievable.
You
We
know,
hit every, go ahead, go ahead.
Ricky Stevens talks about how genius Marvin Gaye was. Stevie Wonder says Marvin Gaye's voice, and he was very good at piano too.
Oh, yeah, he could play some piano. And he was good at basketball and football.
Wow, see that? We didn't know about that. Oh, wow. Well, we thank you all so much for your questions. Reggie, we thank you so much for your time. Now, people want to know where they can reach out to you to be able to ask more questions as well as to be able to stay in contact with what you have going on.
Okay, it'd be Studio Mix Doctor, DOCTOR, at yahoo.com. You can get me there.
Very good. Thank you. Reggie, any final thoughts?
Any what now?
Any final thoughts?
Just keep doing what you're doing. I love it. And I'm sure a lot of people that will, join you will like it too, because it's good to be able to express what you do or what you've done. You know, my grandsons and everybody, they're always trying to impress me, and I try to instill in them, you know, do what you do, get an education, do the best that you can. As long as you're doing the best, you know you've done everything that you know how to do. And to me, in life, if you've done your best, that's all you could do.
Amen. Amen. Reggie, thank you so much. Reggie, it's an honor
Mhm.
having you on the show. I want to thank you. You're a friend. You're a really good friend. You're very dear to me and my family. I've been following your career for a long, long time. We want to just thank you. We pray that you continue on and be around here for another 50 years doing what you do, if the Lord says so.
120, man, 120.
Well, Reggie, thank you so much for stopping by the show. This is the icon, ladies and gentlemen, the man himself, Reggie Dozier. Stay tuned on our next episode of the Sherrard Show, where we have the iconic Mike Tyson stopping by the show to talk about his career, what he's been up to, and also the recent passing of the late, great George Foreman as well, and what he meant for boxing. You don't want to miss this. Keep it locked in on the Sherrard Show on Pure Essence Television Network, the app, as well as on YouTube. And always remember, ladies and gentlemen, people don't care what you know until they know how much you care. I'm Sherrard. See you next time. Bye now.